Now, on this channel, we've all known that often Liz Jones is fairly wide of the mark. And that's a polite way of saying it. But actually, in this article, behind a paywall, naughty, naughty Liz, one in the clicks and one in the money, this article does have some bits in it that are factual and are actually true. And she makes a fair point. And yes, I'm absolutely disgusted with myself for giving the Daily Mail money, but I do it so you don't have to pay. Why I fear Prince William and Kate's latest worthy causes are a catastrophic mistake. And we all know that the royal family love to cosplay. They like to talk about issues and make it seem as though they're doing something about them. But let me read you a summary of this article from someone else on social media that's much more eloquent than I am. When your usual media cheerleaders are questioning whether a prince with multiple palaces, a £23 million a year duchy income, and a carefully curated, concerned face can genuinely understand housing insecurity, the optics have totally collapsed. You cannot cosplay of the patron saint of homelessness while living inside centuries-old properties and have an empire ordinary people subsidise. Wise words from, wise words. I'll end it there.
The tide is turning because even the media isn't buying the polished speeches anymore, and William and Kate's latest worthy causes are suddenly getting something they're not used to, serious side-eye instead of applause. Liz Jones has been spilling the tea lately like she's got no chill at all, and when voices like that start getting louder, you can feel it. Something inside the palace narrative is not sitting right anymore. William and Kate are back again with another round of worthy cause announcements, and people are starting to roll their eyes before they even finish the press release. Even parts of the media, not the usual online noise but more established voices, are openly questioning whether this is real action or just another polished PR drop wrapped in good intentions, because it's becoming a pattern now. Big promises, big headlines, big numbers thrown around like confetti. £500 million here, £160 million there. Land sales, housing plans, nature projects, all sounding huge on paper, but the public reaction is shifting from wow to, okay, where is it actually happening? And that's the problem. Regular people are tired of announcement culture, tired of hearing about solutions that live mostly in speeches, reports, and carefully staged statements, while day-to-day reality stays exactly the same. It feels less like urgent action and more like branding, like the goal is to be seen caring rather than actually fixing anything in a way people can physically point to and say, yeah, that changed my community. So instead of applause, there's hesitation. Instead of trust, there's side-eye. People aren't impressed by big figures anymore. They want visible results, real projects, something concrete that doesn't disappear after the news cycle moves on. Right now, the gap between what's announced and what's felt on the ground is doing more damage than any criticism ever could. Selling off big chunks of land and throwing around hundreds of millions for housing sounds massive on paper, like headline ready, press release friendly, the kind of thing that looks great in bold font. But on the street, people aren't clapping like it's a victory lap. They're asking the simple question, cool, but where is this actually changing anything in my life? Because folks have seen this pattern before. Big announcements roll out, cameras flash, speeches get polished, numbers get stacked up like it's monopoly money. Then everyday life stays pretty much the same. Rent still hurts, housing still feels out of reach, communities still waiting. And that's where the doubt kicks in. Not because people hate ideas of housing help, nobody's mad about that. It's because the gap between what's announced and what's actually built is starting to feel wide, like a lot of talk living in reports while real-world impact moves at a snail's pace. So instead of excitement, you get side-eye. Instead of trust, you get we'll see. People aren't impressed by big figures anymore. They want bricks, doors, homes, real change you can point at without reading a press statement. Right now, it just feels like announcements are doing more work than the outcomes, and that's why the skepticism keeps growing. There's a growing feeling in the air, like people are starting to see through the gloss, because when every move is wrapped in cameras, statements, and carefully polished announcements, some regular folks start asking a simple question. Okay, but what is actually happening behind all this? William and Kate are always presented through big, clean narratives, big causes, big intentions, big promises. But the conversation online is shifting from applause to curiosity. People are basically saying, we see the speeches, we see the headlines, but where's the everyday impact we can actually touch? And that's where the PR talk starts feeling heavy, because everything arrives so packaged, so controlled, so perfectly timed. It starts to feel more like image management than raw on-the-ground work. So instead of automatic praise, even from their number one cheerleader, the media, you get side eyes. Instead of trust, you get questions. Instead of hype, you get, explain that again, but in real-life terms. And that's the shift happening right now. The public isn't asleep, they're just paying closer attention than before. Let's be real, the problem isn't that there's no ambition. Nobody's saying nothing is being planned. The issue is trust. That's where things keep falling apart. Every time there's a big reform announcement, it comes in loud, fancy words, big vision, serious tone. It sounds like something is finally about to shift, and people listen at first, but then time passes, and nothing visible really lands in people's everyday lives fast enough to shut down the doubt. So what happens? The cycle repeats. Another announcement, another promise, another waiting period. And regular people are not living in press releases. They're living in rent prices, bills, long commutes, and real pressure. So when change is always coming soon, but never clearly showing up in a way you can touch or see, people start checking out mentally. That's why the mood has shifted, not because people hate ideas, but because they've heard too many ideas that stayed stuck at the announcement stage. At some point, it stops feeling like transformation and starts feeling like branding, like the goal is to be seen doing something more than actually changing something. And once that feeling sets in, no amount of polished messaging fixes it. People don't move on speeches anymore, they move on results. While William and Kate lean heavily on big announcements and institutional messaging, Harry and Meghan are seen by many as consistently different. Less talk, more action. Their approach is direct, hands-on, visible. Whether it's charitable work, advocacy, or community-focused initiatives, the emphasis is on being present where impact is actually needed, not just speaking about it from a distance. And that's why it resonates with so many people, because regular life isn't lived through press releases or polished statements. It's lived through real-world support, real engagement, and work that actually reaches people. There's a reason the phrase "walk the talk" keeps coming up around them. It's the sense that what they say publicly is reflected in what they do privately and professionally. In a world full of big promises and slow systems, that kind of consistency stands out. It feels grounded, immediate, real. Harry and Meghan's philanthropic journey is often seen as more hands-on and direct, with a focus on real-world impact rather than just headlines or ceremony. From supporting mental health awareness through initiatives like Heads Together in earlier years, to continuing advocacy work around mental well-being, veterans, women's empowerment, and community support, their approach has consistently leaned towards visible engagement. Through their foundation, Archwell Foundation, they've backed projects that support mental health, build stronger communities, and uplift underserved groups. The focus is often on practical help, funding programs, amplifying grassroots organizations, and spotlighting issues that affect everyday people. What stands out for many observers is the tone of their work. Less formal distance, more direct involvement. Whether it's speaking openly about mental health struggles or supporting charities on the ground, their philanthropy tends to feel personal and people-centered. In a world full of polished announcements and long institutional timelines, their charitable work is often described as more immediate in spirit, aimed at showing up, not just speaking out. Alright y'all, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I'm your host Miles, and you already know we keep it real over here. If you enjoyed the video, don't just scroll off like nothing happened. Drop a like, subscribe, and if you're feeling extra generous, hit that super thanks and support the channel. See you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay tinned, and I'm out.